What's up YouTube? Capital G here. Got the first Draitron action for you guys to check out on this channel. Based on what I've seen so far of this archetype, I am a believer. I think that this archetype is very solid. Not sure what that means for the other archetypes in Genesis Impactors, like if the Fire Dragon archetype is going to probably end up sucking, or maybe the Evil Twins will be good. But this archetype, I think I'm sold on, because it's not just that the boss monster is incredibly solid. It's a ritual monster that gives you awesome disruption during your opponent's turn. The fact that every single one of these monsters can be summoned from the graveyard is just effing insane, man. It allows them to essentially have so much fodder. Like when you search the DRA, you can pop them from your hand to, summon one of the level 1s, and then you can use the ritual spell and just summon the DRA from the graveyard. Basically, everything in this archetype can be summoned from the graveyard, and then a ritual archetype, that's just not something we're used to. It gives this deck so much fodder. Their spells and traps are almost all absolutely amazing. They have a searchable Solemn Warning, and the recovery aspect of this deck reminds me very much of like Necros. That was one of the things that made Necros so ahead of their time, is that they could recover so easily. But this deck is starting to give me a little glimpses of that. Not saying it'll be like Necros level, but I'm starting to feel like it will be a very strong deck. And one of the things that like Megaliths kind of missed out on is Megaliths had a lot of they were very unique, but a lot of their monsters were very underpowered until Megalith full. Konami's not doing that with this archetype. So you guys will see just a moderate turn one, and don't take this duel as the gospel. This is just showing you guys how the archetype can actually play. I feel like the more competitive builds probably will not run Chaos Max, but I do think that there's definitely room to play other ritual monsters in this. That's another thing that's crazy. This deck can summon any ritual monster. So you guys can see, making advantage, not a problem. Summoning Chaos Max from your graveyard, not a problem. Getting your cards back. But this is not like a board you'd want to end on. This is not how like Yu-Gi-Oh is played. And honestly, you just wouldn't want to summon Chaos Max in any format as a turn one play, unless you knew specifically you were playing against a deck like maybe Guru or Ultrageist that really don't have the ability to kill a card that's untargetable and 4,000 attack. Like they have to jump through billions of hoops essentially. But you would not want to end on a board like this against basically any board, against any deck. But going second, it could be good. And the Lair of Darkness deck, which this is like a fiend-based Lair of Darkness deck with some Unchained in here. This deck can easily out it because it can just tribute monsters non-targeting, and he gets Chaos Max off the field. Again, why you probably shouldn't have went for that. If he went for DRA, he would have been able to just pop this and just kind of call it a day. But whatever, we're pretty much at that point. Now, this is kind of what I'm showing you here. So you see how he did top deck one of his level 1s, Ban Alpha, and then you can summon one from the graveyard. You can get a search, and you can use that search to search DRA. Then you can pop the DRA in your hand essentially, and then summon another monster from your graveyard. Doesn't matter if the DRA is in the graveyard because you can summon it from the graveyard. This is the recovery aspect essentially that I'm talking about of this deck. Look at his field and look how it just gets progressively bigger. Kind of feels like he got 3 monsters on field out of nowhere, right? Like, where the heck did he get those 3 monsters on field from, Cap? That's just kind of how this deck works. Now, again, he shall be thwarted fairly easily with his opponent tributing his DRA for Eradicator Epidemic Virus. And obviously, it can't activate its effects because it's already tributed as a cost. He loses all his cards. This game should be over, right? But not quite. It's going to get his ritual spell back by giving up 1,000 attack, which is inconsequential because what was he going to do? And this is actually just interesting. This is so bizarre, right? In this matchup specifically, these little tokens are 1,000 attack. So if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to give these up. Yeah, I think you can actually give these up for a ritual summon because they are 1,000 attack. And if you gave up 4 tokens, I believe you'd be able to summon DRA from the graveyard, which actually would be kind of neat. That would just be a little bit of a spicy troll play. Anyways, his opponent is going to continue. He's going for some of his Unchained monsters, and okay, that's basically it. He just attacks into the Link Karibo and then passes it back, gets himself some tokens, and his opponent is going to start going for, well, he needs to take care of the Lair of Darkness. The Lair of Darkness has pretty much been causing him all the pain in this duel because every time he summons a ritual monster, Lair of Darkness basically shuts it down. But now he's going to go for something that maybe you wouldn't expect in this deck, and that would be the Necros of Trishula. These ritual monsters, you can run like one random copy of them. That is the one thing I will say. If you want to run like Chaos Max or Necros of Trishula, you don't have to max out on these cards. You can just run like one copy. They're all searchable in the deck anyways. They can all be summoned from the graveyard if you pop them from your hand, or you give them up from your hand to summon like one of the Draitron level 1 monsters. I don't get this. He uses Dynamiscus, Paleozoic Dynamiscus, as a response to the Trishula effect. I have no idea why he targeted one of the level 1s, because they can distribute themselves for Link Karibo as a quick effect, so you're not even going to find your target. But why not just get rid of the Trishula, the card that obviously has the biggest attack on board? That was like beyond bizarre to me. Anyways, he will be punished for it. Then he's going to go for the BLS Link monster, and at that point it's pretty much just a wrap, because he has the he has the protection, because he did give up Trishula, a high level monster, and I don't think that his opponent is going to be able to come back from this. But hey, why not just get some more monsters? Even playing some Shino birds in here. What is this cheese? He's playing freaking Shino birds in here. All ritual cards are, basically any ritual monster is playable in this deck. If you guys haven't gotten that yet, you can play Necros of Trishula, you can play freaking Shino birds, Chaos Max, DRA, which is a Draitron monster. But that is another cool thing about this archetype, is you can be, if it's a ritual monster, you probably can play. You can even, I guess, even play like Relinquish in this deck. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but the possibilities seem almost endless, and I'm a believer in Draitron. Again, I don't think that the way you guys saw it in that duel will be a nod to my boy Chainlink, the most optimal build of like Draitron, but I feel like just this archetype has so much latent potential, because the main deck monsters, well, when I say main deck, I mean the non-rituals, they're just all really solid. The main 3 you just kind of want to use over and over again. Ban Alpha, we knew that this card was going to be good because it searches all your ritual monsters, and it's not just limited to DRA. It can search any of these other dudes for whatever position you're in. This card, Gamma, we knew he was going to be good because he's a Monster Reborn for all of them, which just gives you field presence, and then Zeta, which searches the field spell, or excuse me, which searches the ritual spell. You only run one ritual spell in this deck because it summons from the graveyard and it summons all of them. I see no reason to run any other ritual spells in this deck. Plus, it returns to the hand, so just another reason you don't need any other ritual spells. I've seen some people playing Invoked in this archetype like as a small engine, because we do know that this archetype doesn't have any normal summons. There are no cards in this entire deck that you can normal summon from a Draitron perspective. But I don't know, I feel like if you do play if you play Invoked, then you can't run Extravagance, and personally I think I'd rather just honestly have the advantage. The spells are all really solid in this deck, although I don't like this guy's trap lineup at all. Heavy Storm Duster in a ritual deck feels beyond random. This archetype has a searchable Solemn Warning. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to run that. Honestly, if you just open with DRA plus the Solemn Warning, you get 3 disruptions out of 2 cards. Like, why not just take that? And it's searchable. So I feel like if you're going to run any trap in this deck, that's the only trap that I would even entertain. And I also think their quick play monster removal card could be a good one of, just as like another backup option. So yeah, this deck would definitely need some revising, but I'm a believer in this archetype. It feels very strong. I think the fact that all the cards can be summoned from the graveyard put it on another level from traditional ritual decks, and I don't know, it feels like the floor of this deck is like tier 2 in my opinion. Like, I don't see this deck just coming out and being like a tier 3 or some like trash deck or something like that. I'm not saying it'll be like tier 1, maybe tier 1.5, but the floor of this deck feels like tier 2. It feels like that's the worst it could possibly be. Anyways, whatever you guys thought, leave it in the description below. Thank you guys, or leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.